It's Sunday, and it's week 5 of the coming up on the session, and it's time for a quorum call. Quorum call. Call a quorum call. Oh, wait a minute! I just got word from the people upstairs that the vote is already fixed, and so there's no need for a vote. In that case, let's jump into the rotation. We are actually short one person today. Our executive director, Chris Kano, who's working up there in Maryland right now, above the Beltway, where he hits them below the Beltway. And he says that Maryland is kind of like a petri dish at the Capitol. Well, from what I understand, so is Tallahassee. It seems like so many people who went to testify this last week came back with colds. Personally, I blame Latipo because he's good for it.
You can tell in my voice, I don't feel good. I don't know what's up there, man, but like I was sick in bed and I was just moaning and it was just bad. I don't know how you can go up there, Senator, and just like be fine. You got a good immune system, man.
Well, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Gary Stein. I'm the political director here at Suncoast Normal and co-host. And to my right, your left, is our deputy director, Carlos Angel Ermida.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot. You can tell I'm sick because I forgot the.
Well, that husky voice is a indication of the fact that you actually went to Tallahassee this last week. In fact, he's been there more times this year than I think in the last couple of years combined, and he still hasn't found a decent vegan restaurant. He's trying to tell me the best vegan restaurant in Tallahassee is a busy bee. That's why he's coming back with fudge for me. Our special guest today is somebody who I've seen rise the ranks since I started playing with Tallahassee back in 2013, and that is Senator Shevrin D. Jones. Chev, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Gary. Good to be on here with you, with both of you today.
Thanks for being with us.
This has been kind of a crazy, almost surreal session. I mean, I was actually told that the Senate actually completed their budget even before week 5. That's like almost unheard of.
Yeah, it's definitely unheard of. Listen, I'll be honest with you. This session is not as crazy as it has been for the past 2 years, but I think on the House side, we are seeing some of the same old as far as culture wars, some of the same restrictions, some of the same impeding on people's rights types of legislation that has been happening over the past 2 years. So in the House, I think the Senate, is trying to become the more independent chamber, the chamber which cools things down just a tad bit. But I think they're tinkering back and forth.
I remember that Senator Brandis once told me that the Senate works like 40 Somalian warlords.
That's actually a true statement.
But it actually gives you a more democratic process over there, doesn't it? Because
it does.
It's all top down.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a more democratic process because it's only 40 of us. So sometimes you're sitting on the committee where it's 4 Republicans, 3 Democrats on the committee. So sometimes you can have a bill that is in trouble if somebody from the other side start lobbying the Democrats, which tends to happen in week 5, week 6 within the legislative session. And so you'll see quite often like some of these bills that that really both sides don't want, like the gaming bill that died before it even reached a committee. And that type of stuff happens because they don't have enough votes for it. And so that's why it's constantly important that we continue to eat away at seats and making sure that we move back into that 2/3 that we need, especially in the Senate.
Well, you've got a bill, a decrim bill that you filed pretty darn early. What's been the appetite for it so far? Is it going to see a committee?
No, it won't see a committee this year, but it will see a committee last year. Listen, yeah, we were smart about how we crafted that piece of legislation because I know the type of state we live in, and so I was very clear on like how we get it across the finish line. I knew we need to reach out to the Sheriff's Association. I knew we need to reach out to some local governments to see what that looked like, what their decriminalization ordinances look like. I do not like the fact that you have like the city of one of my cities, like Miami Beach, trying to roll back their decrim ordinance, which, truth be told, I think it creates it becomes problematic in Miami-Dade County who has a decrim ordinance, and being what happens when an individual cross out of the county into Miami Beach. Now you've created a entire confusing system to where individuals like, well, I was just across the bridge and it was fine. Now I come over to Miami Beach. Now I'm going to jail. This is the problem where I believe I'm okay with the state preempting within local governments to say, no, we need some uniformity when it comes to decriminalization, because there are certain instances where people are being placed in jail or these unnecessary fines, and there's no uniformity across the county.
Is there another solution besides preemption?
Well, I mean, let's go ahead and legalize marijuana, which we're seeing now.
I really want to talk to you about the hemp bill, but I want to talk. I want to get some other things out of the way first. But I do want to talk about what you said during that committee hearing, where you were basically outlining all the progress that the legislator made as far as hemp and marijuana came to be up to date.
Right.
And then you looked at everybody and you're like, this is taking a step back. We were making some great progress, step forward, right?
Yeah.
And now we're moving backwards. Why are we moving backwards?
Yeah, I don't know why we're moving backwards. I don't know why like Florida is moving in this direction where we continuously want to put caps on THC, which the legislature individuals within the legislature has been trying to do for quite some time. I do not understand why we are moving in a direction every year where we're trying to roll back the will of the people. When the people voted for medical marijuana, it was the legislature's fault that they didn't read through the read through the bill which allowed for hemp. And now, because they're trying to figure out how to roll it back, they're doing it in all different types of ways. They're trying to roll it back by defining what attractive to children is. I mean, making requirements for the manufacturing and delivery and the whole and the offer to sell. You're trying to regulate that. What you're doing is, you're basically like I said in committee, Carlos, that you're basically pulling the rug from under these business owners who built their livelihood off of something that the legislature allowed. And I'm not talking about last year. I'm talking about back in 2013, 2014, when the legislature said that this was okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond me that a industry that the legislature essentially created out of the by trying to adhere to the Farm Bill, that they're actually trying to destroy the very industry that they created in the first place.
Right.
It just so happens that this particular industry actually allows more people with lower income than being a millionaire or being minority business has an ability to actually get into in the first place.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, listen, let's not even talk about the fact that when we talk about unfair treatment to minorities who want to get into the green business in Florida, that has been established for so long. I mean, when you look at the amount of people who came up to testify, these wasn't the big boys and girls. These were small mom and pop shops who just found an opportunity to find their way into this business. And now the legislature is once again, giving more leeway to the people who can afford to be able to do a lot of these things, where we have some individuals who have literally cashed out their life savings in order to make business in what they call the free state of Florida. There was nothing free about what we saw. And then just to listen to some of the testimonies from individuals talking about what Delta 8 and Delta 9 did to them and how it put them in the hospital. Stop. Yeah, it's just absolutely not true. I promise you probably took something other than Delta 9 or Delta 8. And it's literally the misinformation that baffles me, that continuously makes its way in the legislature every time this conversation comes about.
And there was a lot of misinformation that just came from the Senate committee as well. With all due respect to Senator Simon, you didn't get the product you were supposed to get.
Exactly.
That was basically the situation. It wasn't our fault. I mean, I see this big billboard on the way over here where it says cannabis or candy, and it has these giant gummy bears, which made me want to go out and get some gummy bears. But the fact was, if you see a gummy bear in Florida, or if you see a package that is not black and white,
Right.
Not coming from Florida. It's not regulated by us.
Right.
Somebody else brought it to their attention. It's not what you guys have been working on. It's not what we've
No.
been working on.
You can blame excuse me. You can blame lobbying dollars all you want. I'm not necessarily going to point any conspiracies to any MMTCs or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But not today, at least.
Not
But
today.
and I'm not going to call out any senators by name, right? We've already
Right.
spoken about Simon and whatnot. But
in a good way. I really appreciate the senators.
there is like a general, like, we're just generally, and excuse the language, Senator, fucked right now. Because
Yeah.
the general mindset here in Florida seems to just be fucked.
We don't
Yeah.
have FCC standards.
And there's other
Right.
stuff that we need to talk about. We need to talk about veterans and their cards, and we need to talk about, that was a big win.
Right.
And we need to talk about that cap. But during that committee hearing, I heard Simon say that he freaked out because he was a control freak and he took a gummy and flipped out and needed to go to the hospital. And, oh my God. And he'd probably admit that the guy at the hospital probably just rubbed his chest and he felt better.
Yeah.
But then I heard another senator say that hemp can lead people to smoking crack and snorting cocaine.
No, it doesn't.
And,
No, it
and
doesn't.
rummaging through dumpsters. And I heard another senator that looked at a crowd where it was shown that the doctors there were paid to be there and the veterans there were not paid to be there, that were there asking for help. And he still said, hey, you guys, shame on you guys for
Right.
these veterans.
Right.
And all the veterans in the crowd were like, dude, we're like asking you to help us.
Right.
Like, that's why we're here. And then
Yeah.
I'll call out Colleen Burden because she's pulling the bill.
Yeah.
She's got these fake facts that cannabis has killed somebody. And like, we're just backwards as a society right now. And
Yeah.
and it's not just on this topic, it's like all across the board.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is there hope?
Yeah. I mean, listen.
Are there
I think,
people up there like you that have not been screwed up?
Listen, here's where I understand the reasoning for the bill was brought forth last year. And I understand why they probably want to revisit. If we want to protect children, let's protect children, right? I won't argue against that. I completely agree with the sentiment, on that, right? However, the public testimony on the bill, I ultimately decided to vote down on the bill because this bill essentially make it impossible for the businesses to operate and put all of them out of business. And I really truly believe that on them. As far as is there hope, I think there is hope. But again, the only way we see that is it's I mean, I'm sorry to sound like a broken record. We have to find our way to a happy medium to where this type of legislation can't go forward. They have no choice but to negotiate with the Senate Democrats when it comes to this type of legislation. I will say the House version of this particular bill, which to Colleen Burton's bill, Senate Bill 1698, is probably a tad bit better than what the Senate version is, which I think will probably be the one that we adopt.
As we move on. So, I mean,
one more question.
Oh, yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, take it away, Carlos.
Please.
Have you ever been a part of a hearing like that? Like, it was 4 hours worth of testimony. People were firing questions at people in their middle of their public testimony. Testimony, like, it was not what we expected at all. Like, typically we go up there and they're like, well, you guys only get 1 minute to talk.
Well, actually,
Flatheads only get 1 minute to talk now.
Yeah, no, hats off to the committee chair, Travis Hudson. I mean, because the committee was slated to go to 6:00 p.m. So we had all the time in the world. And so the fact that he allowed people to really come up to share their testimony,
How are you doing that?
yeah, and I was fine. I was cool with it because I get it. People drive quite a distance to come to Tallahassee to testify. That's not an easy truck, whether you're flying or driving. So I'm happy he did that, and I'm also happy that we were able to question those individuals, whether they were experts in the industry or they were experts in the business of it. Being able to get clarity on that is one thing. What I don't like is when individuals are asking questions to embarrass, and they're really not asking questions for informational purposes. And I think there was a mixture of both of them, because I don't think anyone comes to Tallahassee to for their intelligence to be questioned. Many of them come because they just really feel strongly that against something personally.
I tried to get in contact with a lot of people who were coming to Tallahassee and give them some clues as to how to appropriately use their time when they get up to the dais like that. Like, for instance, don't attack it, inform. That's basically
Yeah,
an important thing. And also, don't ramble. With all due respect to some people I know who love to ramble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of it was painful.
Yeah, I actually agree with
but you got to get up there and you got to make your point. You got to have some eye contacts. Do you have any other recommendations to the folks who come later on and try to go ahead and testify in those kind of situations like that?
I saw you grab some Cuban coffee at some testimony.
I think I had a little bit too much Cuban. I had 3 shots of Cuban coffee, and I had the jitters up there, man. I was. I guess I mean, some advice that I would give to individuals when they come. Yeah, if you watch the last committee and you watch the testimony, I think you would absolutely see that you need to be knowledgeable about the topic that you're testifying about, because for informational purposes, people might just stop you to ask questions to see, like, if they're in between a vote. Like, what does that mean? Like, how can I talk more to this particular individual to find out more information about it? But I also would say, don't ramble. Make sure you know make sure you have your talking points put together. And I always tell people all the time, listen, most legislators, we got attention spans within like 2-minute increments, right? So when you come up there, be succinct in what you're saying, to grab everyone's attention. Because when you start just rambling, then you kind of lose your audience that bit.
Yeah, especially if a senator has been sitting around for 4 hours without a biological
4 hours.
without a biological break. Thank goodness potatoes and not coffee con leche, because you would be running to the bathroom after a while.
4 hours. I will tell you. I mean, listen, and I pray to God people didn't think that we were being rude, but I mean, when they brought lunch to the back, you'll see the majority and the minority office. We had to start taking turns to go get lunch and come back because we have to maintain a quorum. And so when they come whisper in your ear, okay, you can go have lunch now. But we can still watch what everyone is saying in the back. But I know some people that probably could annoy some people because they're like, "Oh, you guys are not listening." But some of us have jobs, so you have to get on work calls and stuff like that. So it can be distracting. I can see that.
Well, I had a lot of high hopes for this session. I know it's really running in rather various directions. I don't see as much culture war stuff being integrated as there has been in the past.
Yeah.
My ultimate get would be to finally get a chance to hotbox in the bubble with Randy Fine, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Nah, man. Listen, a lot of that stuff, I'm telling you, a lot of that crazy stuff that they're doing over in the House won't see the light of day over in the Senate. I don't think the Senate have the appetite for that this year. Listen, I don't. It was unfortunate that we wasted 2 years to do that. I wish the Senate that I see right now was the Senate that we had 2 years ago. Because I mean, it was just absolutely unnecessary to take our state and take people just mentally through I can't even describe the type of how draining it was to be in a leadership position at that time and have to go back home to explain to people, like, this is what y'all are doing up there. It was too much.
I mean, from attacking Disney to attacking LGBTQ issues, it just didn't make any sense that these people were not actually doing what we sent them to do.
Right. No, absolutely. No one voted for us to go up here and take people's rights away and make life difficult for individuals and tell teachers what they can and cannot teach and tell cities what they can and cannot do. I think you totally lose faith in the process when that type of stuff happens, right? People are already sick of politicians, and then let alone now you're talking about what parents can do for their children and can't do for their children, and you're limiting what it's too much. I mean, when you talk, especially the party of less government, I mean, let's not even talk about that. This is what you all have built your party off of, and now you are turning into a party of big government, authoritarianism, fascism at its best. So, that's a soapbox for another day.
Now, one more other bill I wanted to discuss real quick, because I know you're running out of time here.
That's fine.
But that Representative Dr. Masulo had put out that bill to put a cap on recreational cannabis, which doesn't even exist yet.
Right.
Like Ron Watson said, you can't cross a bridge that hasn't been built yet.
Right.
And Then we have a Senate bill that suddenly popped up out of nowhere, a proposed committee bill that it basically says, well, we're going to legislate it as soon as it gets voted on properly. What is going on there?
I haven't seen the proposed committee bill. When did that come up? Yesterday, this weekend?
It popped up on Friday. It's basically one paragraph saying that they were going to legislate the bill as soon as it passes, and it makes it a companion to the Missoula bill. I don't know whether it's a placeholder to move it forward. It's 70-50. So when you get
70-50, which committee was it assigned to?
I don't think it's been assigned to a committee yet. I just saw it pop up the other day, but
Yeah.
I think it came out of health policy.
Okay, so it'll probably go to health policy. Then it will probably go to either rules or fiscal policy. I haven't heard anything about that yet. That should be interesting. I don't know how you legislate something that hasn't even made its way to the ballot yet. Well, that's also preemptive to know that they believe that it's going to pass.
Yeah. Well, we've got two bills this year that
it's also to point out that they're going against the will of the people
already, right?
Exactly. I mean, they're like, we're not even going to let you have it.
Yeah.
Even if you get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're setting themselves up for a lawsuit already, though.
Yeah.
A lawsuit against our legislature? My gosh, that never happens. Except every single year. I think we have
every single year.
I think we have a legal budget than Trump at this point in time.
That's actually hilarious.
But at least Ilana Garcia did pull back her appropriation for Trump's legal expenses. That to me was kind of beyond the pale.
Yeah, you can't listen. We can't set that type of precedence. Yeah, I don't care I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican office. That's not how we should be using taxpayers' dollars, not to pay for someone's legal fees. That's just not okay.
Well, we here at Sunshine, it's at Suncoast Normal, whatever.
Where are we?
I even go that way. They ain't no sunshine when I'm gone. Anyways, we set up 7 or 8 bills that we sent to the legislature this year. We got 2 of them filed in the Senate, thanks to Senator Polsky. One of which was a protection of parental rights if you have a medical cannabis bill, a medical cannabis card, so DCF can't come over and petition to have your kids removed just because you're using medicine, as medicine. And the other one is to prevent public employees from getting fired just for having a medical card. And by the way, that's one case of the corrections officer in South Florida refused to be heard this week by the Supreme Court. Real shocker there. But the fact is that here's a guy who's just trying to manage what is obviously a high stress job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, let me tell you, I also think we're going to start seeing just a tad bit more of that. I think if people don't understand that you get what you vote for, you get what you vote for. I mean, because if you get to this, if we're in this place now to where people are losing their jobs, children are being taken away, and all for the sake of something that the legislature has allowed to happen. That means that we are really moving into a very weird territory that where people start questioning whether or not they can trust the system at all. I mean, I know people already have what their thoughts and their views are when it comes to politicians, but you really are moving into this area of distrust with people when we do things like that, and that type of stuff don't make it any better.
Well, we'll keep fighting to get those bills put in there so you guys can go ahead and fight the good fight and hopefully move Florida in the range where everybody else is in the country. I mean, we have 870,000 patients right now who have medical cards in Florida.
Yeah,
that is twice the population of Miami, to put it in perspective.
Wow.
Yeah, you can imagine the entire city of Miami all having medical cards, all utilizing it. Cafe Ocho would be a much different place, wouldn't it? By the way, I noticed that you're being brave there, wearing a Rattlers cap as opposed to a Knowles cap. So that was good of you.
That's right. Yeah, listen, Florida A&M to the day I die.
All right, Senator, I got an off-topic question for you.
Please take it.
So you're from South Florida.
I'm from South Florida.
We have a little bit of a debate about you like Cuban food?
I love Cuban food.
All right, what does salami belong on a Cuban sandwich?
salami
Yeah,
on a
you
Cuban
see,
sandwich?
look at how he's freaking out right there. Like, look at how he's
Listen,
like, why are you even asking me that?
I'm
Like,
not even Cuban and no salami doesn't go on a Cuban sandwich.
well, did you know that Tampa claims to have invented the Cuban sandwich?
Nah, I doubt that. Not putting salami on it.
Yeah, well, they claim that it belongs on there.
No, sir. No.
Well,
Listen, the one thing I love about South Florida is that we are such a melting pot that we know each other's cuisines. Like I know salami does not go on a Cuban sandwich, and where
okay.
the Cubans know that pineapples do not go in conch salad. So that's listen. Every time I hear people say I put pineapples in my conch salad, I'm like, listen, I'm Bahamian, and that's just disrespect.
Throw some Scotch bonnet in there and then call it a day.
That's right. You put some Scotch bonnet in there. You put just a tad bit of vinegar. If not vinegar, some lime juice. Just stop making up stuff.
Well, Senator, if anybody wants to get a hold of you and continue this conversation, or if they have some concerns in regards to the bills like the hemp bill, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way to do that?
You can email me at jones.chevrin@flsenate.gov, or you can follow me on Instagram at Shevrin Jones, Twitter at Shevrin Jones, Thread at Shevrin Jones, YouTube at Shevrin Jones. My name is just consistent across the board. I usually answer my inbox messages, so if not, then you'll get one of my staff. They'll answer your message right back to you.
Well, I hope to get back up to Tallahassee, especially for paella night.
Yes, it's coming soon.
Yeah, we got that midpoint. That's where it's coming.
And
That's right.
seriously, Senator, I saw you in a room full of your peers stand up against corruption. You and Senator Thompson both screw it. I pledge my undying loyalty to you. Anything you see, I'm zooming in on my face here. Anything you ever need, I got your back. You just
I appreciate that, Carlos.
No problem.
I'm holding you to that.
Yeah, he's the same voice in all those hemp operators who want to continue operating. So he doesn't ramble, which is good.
Which is good. Hey, I will say this, that I am every after session, I always do this thing called We the People University. And this year, after session, I'm doing it, and I'm going to talk about how individuals can get into the green business, because many people want to know, and I also want to share with them about the possible legislation that will be voted on. So if you all know people who could be a part of a panel that we're going to have in March, and Carlos and Gary, if you all want to come down, that'll be great. I mean, it's always packed. I mean, you're talking about 200-300 people who are always there just to come learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And we thank you for coming on and taking a pause between getting up and getting to church. This is our church, so you've already been to at least one.
I've been to church already. Yes.
You've already been
to your church. Yes. I'm going to go to my church now.
This is about as close as Carlos will ever get to a church at this point in time.
I love it.
Well, thank you, Senator.
Thank y'all.
Yeah,
all right.
Put down your bets for the Super Bowl and for when Senate is going to happen.
Let me see. Who am I? I'm going to go with for the Super Bowl. I think I'm going to go with Kansas City.
Wow. So you are a Swiftie.
I'm a Swiftie.
But you didn't know she owned the NFL. I heard it last week. And Senate is it going to happen on the Friday?
It probably will. I think we'll sign it down on time, considering that the budget dropped the way it did, and considering that how quick we're moving. I think we're gonna get out of here like in the morning of that on the 8th.
And we're still going to fund the mid Central Florida tourist district, right? Over in Orlando.
So. Listen, yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank y'all.
We'll see you in Tally.
See you in Tally.
That was cool.
Wow, it's good to get a chance to hear a voice from the inside, especially from behind that big old desk, because it is it's not as easy for them either. They work their asses off, especially come the session, because here you have an entire year that we have to get all this work done, and yet they only have 12 weeks to get together all this legislation, get it through all the committees, and especially the budget. Unlike the federal government, they have to make certain that the budget is completed and it's a fully balanced budget before the end of those 12 weeks. And that is a massive task when you're talking about a $1.17 billion budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Also sounds like maybe like 3-4 months worth of work.
Yeah,
Good vacation the rest of the year.
actually, way more than that. I don't know if anybody's even on today because we did come in early, but that was only because of the fact that our guest had to get to whatever he has to go. Not only is he going to go to church, but he's also going to go into one of the pastor's offices and do some video interviews with various folks in the other South Florida podcasts. We don't cast any aspersions to South Florida because they brought up Carlos here.
Yeah, I'm from there.
The place where they don't put salami on them.
That's also the place where I learned about marijuana. Also the place where I used to go digging around in cow fields up in Davie and try to grab some mushrooms out of the field.
Now, quick question. You may or may not know this, but you may have heard the answer in the wind, shit flying in the wind. Is the legacy market stronger in South Florida than it is in Central Florida?
I mean, I don't know. It's a weird question to ask.
Well, it's just out there because
how can you even measure that?
It's a good. Well, I mean, we've been told by the people who claim that they can actually gauge these things that the illegal market, this legacy market, whatever you wish to call it, is still 15 times the size of the legal market. And that proposes that is a sign of the fact that certain people can still live free or die, but it also means that sometimes if they don't care about their product, the dying part is on you and not on them. Because we do have products that are out there that are possibly laced with fentanyl, and I can't stress this enough. People are constantly saying, "Oh, that's an urban myth that never happens." Not true. I can tell you that for a fact because I have dealt with various cases with various sheriffs around the state, that there are situations where, especially when it comes to buying from a trap or a plug, whatever you wish to call it, where kind of fentanyl managed to find its way into the bud, just because of the fact that they may have been bagging it in the same room, not because they actually intended on spiking it. But
that sounds a little far-fetched to me, but there are like tools that can be cross-used.
Oh yeah, it
in
does.
These situations.
I mean, it can be done right because they do package fentanyl usually in a clean room with bunny suits so that nobody has anything sticking to them.
Yeah.
If you're just talking about somebody's apartment with an air conditioning going.
Oh yeah,
you got fentanyl, which is essentially a very, very fine powder, finer than flour, powdered sugar. That kind
but
of situation.
is that like little fine powder that lands on the bud? Is that enough to kill somebody or hurt somebody?
That is the problem with fentanyl. It is so powerful that just a few grains can have a fatal effect on you, depending on your constitution. And so, therefore, and by the way, it's not a matter of it'll fry when you go ahead and hit it with the flame, because you will probably have it on your lips after you've rolled the joint, crumbled up the bud, whatever, or have it on the outside of the paper, and therefore it gets into the oral mucosa and it goes into your body. So that is just one reason why sometimes you really can't put full faith and trust into the legacy market. Now, that said, there are people in the legacy market who do take the care to use a proper facility. And I guess there are products that are coming out of California that are legal products in California, but illegal products over here that somehow find their way, possibly via UPS or U.S. Postal Service, to Florida. And that is the stuff that you guys see in a lot of those meetings. People often ask, why don't they use those white packages with black lettering on those big posters they bring to the Tallahassee and say, look at what our kids are exposed to? It's because, colored packages are more attractive to legislators. And so we have to protect our legislators from misinformation by letting them know that those are Cali products. They're not Florida products. They're Oklahoma products. They're Colorado products. They're not coming from Florida. And I hate to say that ugly packaging is indicative of being a good Florida product, because it's a lousy way to market, to be honest with you.
Nah, man. One thing I do want to say about the fentanyl thing is, and I talked about it actually in my testimony up in Tallahassee, because there's a lot of misconceptions about, addiction and drug use and whatnot. And it's a subject that's like really affected my life. I used to date this girl, Christina, that wasn't addicted to any type of like opiates at all, but would use there's a concept called black market pharmacies. Now, this isn't necessarily like a drug type situation. It's that Christina didn't have health care, right? And had a bad back and was buying, cheap, like not cheap, but like low dosage pain pills in order to treat her back.
Your dollar store remedies, basically.
So what happened was she bought from somebody that was using the pill pressing machine with fentanyl and didn't clean it properly. And then pressed her pills with the fentanyl. She got one of those and overdosed. So yeah, a little bit of like dust flying through the room, we can argue whether or not it can kill somebody. But the fact is that cross contamination with tools, things like that happen. And, in these, black market pharmacies, a lot of times these guys sell marijuana too. It's very possible that you use a spoon or you put it on a scale, or, like you use the same glove, or, like these guys aren't trained pharmacists, and something horrible happens. So, yeah, I mean, it's true. It's something to be concerned about.
Now, again, my background is in public health, and I know basically what it takes to get an infection. Obviously, you don't because you got infected. But I
do not feel good.
We're going to kind of wrap this up soon, so you can go home and do face down, do some good face down time. But the fact is, it doesn't take much to get somebody infected, especially when it comes to a virus is concerned. The viral load doesn't have to be too high for it to go up, and so therefore you have to be careful. If you see somebody who's packaging up your package and is using their hands to squeeze into a jar and then hand it out to you without using a glove, without using tongs, there is a possibility, if that person is not using proper hygiene, that they may give you whatever they have.
Mm-hmm.
So don't buy from anybody who's sniffling while they're packaging, or using using their hands. Now, we had that one guy on from Amsterdam not too long ago, Sergeant Hooters.
Sergeant Hooter.
Yeah, one thing he talks about is that fact that if you see somebody taking their 5 fingers and reaching and touching that bud, and he said microscopically they are crushing all those trichomes. He said, and that is my trichomes that are stuck on their fingers after I leave. So I see that as a possibility.
You ever smoke finger hash?
I have not smoked finger hash, nor have I ever, after a trimming session, sucked the scissors. Which I don't recommend to anybody. Don't suck the scissors, guys.
I say do it.
Whatever you're doing with those scissors, don't.
You worked hard on that trimming session. You should get a little benefit from it.
Well, then you
get a little hash, a little scissor finger hash.
Yeah, it's a little scissor finger hash. Just squeeze that sucker out.
Just I ain't smoking Gary's finger hash because there's a piece of Gary in that finger hash.
Well, a lot of times it's the oil from your fingers that makes it nice and sticky. It makes it into a nice big cake.
There's more. If I were to take finger hash from your fingers, there'd be little pieces of Gary skin,
and possibly some Cheeto dust,
and possibly some fentanyl.
I don't think there'll be any fentanyl. There may be some cinnamon from a churro.
All right.
I'm talking to you, those guys over at Noah. You know what? I'm going to come back there and get you some more churros.
So I'm really happy that you booked Senator Shevrin Jones today. That was a good conversation.
I don't know what we're going to do next week. Next week being Super Bowl day, we could be the pre-show, or we could take the day off. We haven't quite decided yet.
I have no problem working on Super Bowl. I don't really care about the Super Bowl.
So you're a football atheist.
You
don't believe there is a fix.
I do not believe in football.
Okay, so then you're not a Swiftie either. I guess that's a good thing. But we are continuing to work hard on all that great stuff over there in Tallahassee. We still have some bills that we are still hoping we can get heard by committee. And we've been told by legislators and by lobbyists that ain't going to happen. But guess what? Can't isn't exactly a big word in my vocabulary. So we're going to continue to work on finding the alternate paths to get those things to the floor. We still want to talk about parental rights protections. We still want to talk about employee protections. We still want to talk about patient protection, so you don't get taken off the damn kidney transplant list. We've got one person from our community who is anxiously waiting on a liver right now, and we would not want that person to be taken off of a list for having a medical card.
Yeah.
And of course, we have our expansion of medical conditions, because right now, autism, sickle cell anemia, chronic depression syndrome are not on the list. And so therefore, in order to make you kind of fit your round ass into that square hole, the doctors have to go ahead and kind of tweak the law, as it were, and they use that tenth of substances of conditions of a like or similar nature, and they can get themselves in trouble with that in the long run, because if the Board of Medicine or Board of Osteopathic Medicine decides that is not an appropriate tweak, then
better doctor
they can shut that down.
Better doctor is like, you're not as good as a doctor because of marijuana.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fucked.
Now, one thing I did want to mention in regards to the bill that we were discussing with Senator Jones today, and that is that whole idea that you should start legislating against a situation which that hasn't even occurred yet, because the ballot initiative has not even been approved yet and has not come to a vote yet, and yet they're already legislating the fact that there's going to be a THC cap on adult use cannabis. Now, one the people that were up there said that this is basically to protect, and this is actually Senator Masulo said, or Dr. Masulo, Representative Masulo said that he's trying to protect the medical market, so that if the recreational market, quote unquote, goes in the adult use market, it won't cannibalize the medical market. That has happened in other states, hasn't it? Like Oregon, Washington State.
But he's trying to defend the medical market by hurting the recreational market.
Well, again, we have a medical market. It's not perfect. A lot of people do not like having to get a medical card. They don't like the cost. They don't like the invasion of privacy. But
well, wouldn't the best way to help the medical market is make that market better?
Yeah, well, for one thing, I would. I hate to say it, but I would get rid of the medical card idea. That said, because there's conditions involved in there, but that is it is a situation we're dealing with. Now, somebody asked me the other day, because this Senate bill, I have word that what they're going to do when they finally get to working on it is they're going to put a 20% THC cap in there. And I would ask anybody out there today, right now, who's sober enough or awake enough to go ahead and give us a little text back. Do you think you'd be okay with a 20% THC cap? And I ask you this in a number of fashions, because for some folks, possibly even myself, 20% THC is high enough. I mean, for what I use it for, I don't need to worry about whether that mine is 20 or I'm not rushing over to cookies to get the next thing that's 30% or 32% or 34% THC. And let's not forget, and this goes out to Senator Simon too, it's not about the THC. The quality of what you smoke is not necessarily about just the quantity of THC. There are other things involved. There are other cannabinoids involved. There's other terpenes involved. So if you have just straight THC isolate, it doesn't give it a path as to how to work on your body. And so therefore you may have a panic attack like our good Senator Simon, and decide to go to University of Miami Hospital or wherever he went to get little things of apple juice.
Where is he? I thought he was in the Panhandle.
Maybe he is in the Panhandle.
He's in Miami.
I apologize. I don't know at this point. Oh, you're right. No, actually, he's in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
I remember
he's
that
up there with them good old boys.
Yeah. Senior moment. I can say I have not dabbed.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Any cap on THC is a direct attack on patients.
That's true, because every single patient is different. Sorry, snowflake, but you're all a bunch of snowflakes.
Gary, you know what, Gary? Like, do you have a medical marijuana card?
Yes. Well, actually, it's expired right now.
Would you
turned
be
40 last
willing
month.
to disclose why you have a medical marijuana card? What ailment?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you it's legitimate, and I'll tell you that I had a doctor who verified
Yeah,
the fact that it was
that's
legitimate.
between you and your doctor. That's between you and your
is
doctor.
between me and my doctor
Um,
and my plug.
there.
I don't have a plug.
Okay. Here's the way I put it. Right. The people that I see come through my store that buy large amounts of THC, they're not potheads. They're not stoners. They're not idiots. They're not drug addicts. Right. They tend to be pretty sick. The potheads that come through my store buy 10, 25 milligram gummies. They buy flour, they buy concentrate. The ones that buy the large amounts of THC need it because those large amounts of THC, as Simon, are pretty uncomfortable. So anytime you take that away, you're hurting somebody that's sick. So any THC cap, regardless of hemp or marijuana, anything like that, right? It's directly hurting the people that need that large amount of THC.
Now, I don't. Tylenol is not the best thing for you. I mean, it does work as far as taking care of mild to moderate pain, but too much it'll destroy your liver, right?
Right.
And yet, I don't see anybody saying we need to take 500 milligram Tylenol off the market because people could possibly overdose on it.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, as far as poison control is concerned, something the topic that you brought up over in Tallahassee, they get a lot more calls about Tylenol overdose.
Yeah.
Than they do cannabis. And that said, with all due respect to Ellen Snelling, who's a friend of mine, and
you actually have to get your stomach.
And my dietitian, what a great job she's doing. No, she owes me a call.
I'd personally like to have her on the show. I know she's watching.
I'll
see. She's one of the first. I'm sure she's one of the viewers.
Actually, I wouldn't doubt it because she does do some op-ed.
She was I've seen her on my email lists. All that stuff she registers for. So if she's watching, we'd love to have you on the show, Ellen. We'd love to have your perspective.
I mean, I know where she's coming from. I know where her passion is. And in some cases, she's right. In some cases, she's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she claimed that there was a Delta 8 death out there. And be honest with you, I have not done research. I have not found it yet. If anybody does find an article or anything that verifies the fact that there was a Delta 8 death out there that was verified as a Delta 8 death and that person actually did get tested and only had THC in their system, so they know it's not something else they took at that same time, then I'd like to see it.
And this cake pop incident that she keeps bringing up.
Yes. the heinous cake pop incident.
There is security camera footage that the owner will share with you if you request of the parent buying it and then the child sneaking it out of the parents' belongings out of their back.
Wait. So you're saying it wasn't the proprietor that gave the incorrect cake pop?
Right.
It looks like the kid actually grabbed the parent's cake pop.
Yeah, the parent bought it, and
why the hell is the parent buying a cake pop? I'm sorry, that's a child's food.
Well,
Tootsie Rolls that can rip apart your dentures and all that bit. Don't do that.
Because children, only buy stuff that's attractive to children. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Because parents like things that are attractive to children too. I don't know.
I've seen some pretty racy anime that kids are attracted to. Should we go ahead and have that pulled from the airways?
That anime porn, I don't think they allow that on the airways.
Oh, they get very close.
Sure, you watch some weird stuff.
I don't personally know. But I've got 3 girls who are big anime fans, and that in watching them grow up, I've been keeping an eye on what they're watching because that's what a good parent does.
So you watch anime porn with your kids?
I also strictly
Why
control their.
you can only talk to me about this type of stuff when I'm sick.
I have.
I don't like that.
I give them an OnlyFans allowance,
Ah,
and they don't go over it. So they if they only get halfway through, that's because they picked an expensive one. They need to stop taking those T-Pain over OnlyFans.
listen, you can follow Gary Stein on OnlyFans. He needs money to go up to Tallahassee, so he's gonna sell pictures of his feet.
And this show, unfortunately, is no longer on Pornhub because Carlos pulled it.
You've been putting this show on Pornhub?
Something, I don't know what. Anyways, we we are going to continue to work in Tallahassee, and we're going to continue to work at home. And that means that if you know a senator or a legislator that is on a committee for one of those bills that we are trying to work on right now, feel free to contact them. I almost feel sorry for Thad Altman right now. He has had all of his phones blown up, and that's interfered with his work and things of that sort. Hopefully he gets the message so they can stop doing that to him. But we know that they are trying to do their job. And as long as they're not spending all their time trying to go after culture items and actually talk about things like funding roads and protecting the public trust and that kind of stuff.
And if you want a free joint or dab, come on down to Chillum, Ybor City, or St. Petersburg, and we'll give you a free joint or a dab if you just call off that Altman right there in the store. And if you're polite and nice and make a good point of why hemp is important to you, we'll give you a free dab.
That is the cannabis quid pro quo. And that's what happens here in Florida, because Carlos, as you know, is the ultimate Florida man.
Yo.
The guy who thinks he's Rasta.
Slap at the base.
or Coptic or whatever.
Well, all right, so I don't know. We don't really have much to talk about now, right?
Well, Chris couldn't make it today. He unfortunately found out that the state of Maryland also has a petri dish for a capital, and he got sick as well to the point where his throat closed up. And that means that he can't talk for once. So that means that either one or two things. He's just not going to show up, and we have more time to talk shit about him behind his back because he can't respond.
But
the law does state you have to be able to face your accuser. So we're going to hold off on that.
Well, I guess we'll talk to Chris later. I'm delirious at this point. Become a member.
Become a member at Suncoast Normal at suncoastnormal.org/membership. And by the way, we do have a membership meeting coming up, I think, in the next couple months.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about that, so you can get your 2 cents in
sometime in February
as we work on next session. Believe it or not, because that is what you got to do sometimes, because things are moving pretty fast there right now, faster than than I ever expected. And we'll see what they can't do, what they can do and can't do.
Yeah.
All right. With that, guys, stay safe, stay warm. Be sure to send a copy of this broadcast to your friends, whether they like it or not. And